The bottom left of Red City, our Protoss player for LGIM. It is
LGIM first.
the winner of IEM Katowice, the first big tournament in Heart of the Swarm that we had.
Yeah.
January 2013.
A lot of firsts for him, starting as the first Protoss player today. For example, the first Protoss to win in Heart of the Swarm. His opponent down to the bottom right are Zerg. He is
STX or hyvaa.
However, with 2 games so far where he took huge risks, but also calculated risks.
Yeah, it really paid off in game number 2. In game number 1, not so much. And a very fast scout by first, not taking any chances here.
I have to admit that the last game is one of those matches where I would really like to re-watch the game, watch the replay, and have a look at what exactly he saw. Because Legend highlighted several times that he didn't see the Stargate. So, just from like a theory craft point of view, it's a little bit weird to go in this many speedlings when your opponent could just get additional gateways out there and have like a huge gateway army ready and a cannon. So that's the only thing where I'm a little bit like
it's kind of extreme, you know, to go for such an all-in like this, especially when you're down in the series, to just, you know, roll the dice a little bit on that.
Exactly. When you didn't see the Stargate, it seems very risky. So that's one of those games where I would really like to jump back in the replay and have a quick look at what exactly he scouted. If something triggered this attack, or if he just went through with it no matter what.
Yeah, it starts to seem like it was the second, you know, the ladder there. He just wanted to go through it no matter what.
It could also be one of those games where he prepared for first style and realized just when he watched the matches that first is one of those players that will always go for a Stargate opening on a map like Daybreak. But on the other hand, with the with the gateway opening alone, first already changed it up a bit. So
yeah, I mean, just talking about openings, if he had gone for like a 7 gateway all-in with just a bunch of sentries, he would have been able to crush that super easy. Not a build we see as often, but...
Or just start things off with the Void Ray here. That would have already helped a little bit.
Yeah.
As things are, we are in the 3rd game. hyvaa was able to win the match on Daybreak. Now we are in Red City. The Pro for first gets scouted immediately, and we have the Protoss player starting with the Gateway Expand.
Yep.
Forge Expand.
I really like what hyvaa's doing with his probe, or with his drone. He's hiding it behind the mineral line, so this probe is barely going to get it to come over here. He's going to see no hatchery and also no drone, and then as soon as the probe leaves and or dies, he can start the hatch. So very clever.
Yeah. We are 4:20 now in the game, so you can really see that the 3rd base is now going down, but unscouted by first. First assumed at this point that there is only going to be a 2-base play, at least for now, by hyvaa. But hyvaa is playing the standard 3-hatch opening.
Yeah. And he sends a second probe to confirm. This is really, really good scouting by first.
Yeah, I like that move a lot. He realized that there was still the chance of hyvaa getting a 3rd base, and he sends out a second probe. I like that a lot, I have to say. This is really him taking no chances.
He's going to go in an unusual position too, so he doesn't get scouted. But look at how smart hyvaa is as well. Brings the queen, 1 hit point left on the probe, and then the probe turns out, dies. So great reaction here by hyvaa. Pulls his queen purposely to the left just to make sure this doesn't happen.
That's very annoying here for first. So he is playing a little bit in the dark. He doesn't know exactly what's going on. And the second cannon is just him reacting to what he scouted or what he didn't scout.
Do you think it's a little bit weird he doesn't make the cannon on the high ground since he can with that pylon? I'd like to see that if you're going to make a cannon, because then it's unattackable by roaches, for example, or even banelings.
It's a nice move, but I think he is a bit cautious about the forge.
Yeah, the left side is a little exposed.
With the cannon on the high ground, the forge is too exposed, so I think that's probably his thought process here.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
But I mean, for hyvaa, everything goes quite well. You have to look at it from his point of view. He was able to deny 2 probes, and he forced, therefore, a second cannon coming out. First is playing this very well, and hyvaa at this point doesn't really know about the second cannon, but he's in a position where he can now drone up, and he doesn't have to worry about too much, so I really like his position.
Yeah, very great. Just very great moves by hyvaa to deny the scouts. I like how he's opened this, and we have robotics going down now for first. He's going to scout with the mothership core. All he needs to do is poke in here and see the lair, but it's not going to be easy. The queens are already moving in position to deny him because he saw with the overload already. He's not going to be able to scout this. Beautiful moves by hyvaa in this game. Really impressed.
And I think that this is probably doing quite a trip on first, because first is a bit too cautious here right now. He could still hit like great timings, and it's not like he's far behind in the game, but But it's definitely a bit of an edge that goes to hyvaa here, heading now into layer, having the roach run here as a precaution. But we have first now with the robotic spade. And it looks to me a little bit like we might see this 2-base timing where you go for the double Colossus, move out and try to hit your opponent before he heads into, let's say, the too many Hydra lists or goes into the Hive tag for Vipers.
It's a really great build to do when you don't know what your opponent is doing, because it's very strong, and if your opponent's just hiding a lot of tech and he's denying you a lot, you can always rely on a push like this. There's a few builds that kind of directly counter it, like very fast mutas, for example, but otherwise you're going to get a lot done with this push.
A very sexy burrow timing that we have here. The burrow timing works out so that if there was a push out with, let's say, Immortals, he would just have it in time to be able to work with it against Immortals, against the gateway timing. So that is a very clutch one. It doesn't come into play for a defensive purpose in this particular scenario, but you can really see that he's putting a lot of thought into his build here, so I like that a lot.
Yeah. And as it stands right now, he doesn't have an Observer. He's trying to hit this Colossus timing perfectly, so he didn't even make an Observer, so this could come into play. The Overseer is definitely going to see the Robotics Bay and the additional gateways.
Yeah. And this is now a position where hyvaa has to think about what he's going to do. Usually you drop a Spire once you see the Robotics Bay. It's already a little bit late though, and he knows that, so he might not be able to get Corruptors out, and as a consequence might just try to rely on flanks with roaches.
Exactly. We've seen this yesterday in Codes, sometimes players just totally skipping that Spire, because when you see it this late, it's a little bit uncomfortable. If you see it as it's warping in, that's one thing, but if you see it once it's already researching range, then you got to just max out on those roaches as soon as you can and go for the flanks.
You always want to go straight to Vipers if you can. You only drop the Spire these days if you want to go for the Mutalisk, if you want to transition later on, or if you are afraid that this 2-base timing is coming or this 2 Colossi timing is coming. But if you just, as you said, see already the Chrono Boost on the Bay, that's the first time you scout it, then you know that if you drop the Spire, it's going to be too late.
Yeah, this is a really great decision by hyvaa to go into the roaches. I like it a lot. He just has to make sure he can get the good flank off, because without a good flank, this is going to be so easy for First to control with his sentries, with those good force fields.
We have a huge lead in overall supply though, 150 against 90, and hyvaa really only committed to a few units. And what a beautiful trap here with those roaches!
This is so genius. He loses the pylon and the roaches come up, boom, right on those Immortals. He recalls. He's so terrified he recalls instantly, which is also a great move.
Yeah.
That was genius what we just saw.
That was beautiful by both players. I like this trap that hyvaa laid there, and well, First walked right into it, but then the reaction time for First, he realized what was going on, and immediately, bam, recall.
Yeah, not every programmer would have been able to make a decision like that so quickly. I mean, we're talking like a second to two is all he has to think about this.
I love this game. Look at the Spire timing now. hyvaa realizes, of course, that now he can safely get the Spire out there, and this is just such a great game, and it also shows how important the Mothership is to a Protoss player. In Wings of Liberty, this game would already be over.
Absolutely.
Without the Mothership Core and the recall here, the Colossus would have died, both of those Immortal would have died, the entire army would die, and then suddenly you can't do anything as a Protoss anymore. But now, First still has a fighting chance, even though he's behind in the game.
Yeah, he's very behind in supply, but his tech is still good, and he saved his army, so he's trying to make something happen with his Warp Prism now. Will kill a Queen and some of these drones, and anything he can get done here is going to at least make hyvaa feel less comfortable. hyvaa had that huge lead going into the supply, and this push out here is going to be really, really problematic for First, because he doesn't have anything at home to defend against the Roach attack.
Yeah, the Immortal just walks out. With the Immortal would have been a little bit easier, but now suddenly we have the Roaches walking in. There's not enough. One force field is not going to hold this army, but on the other hand, the Protoss is moving straight into the natural of his opponent.
Or Mothership Core almost enough energy for a recall. He may try to just recall right back home.
He needs to force field the Ramp Wolf, but he doesn't. Now here comes the recall.
Very late, though, when he recalls to the wrong Nexus. The Nexus down here at the natural is not really the big concern. It's the main base where he's going to lose power of these gateways.
A huge Atosis pylon, but at least those 2 Colossi at the bottom can do some damage. A few units still left at the right side of the map. Nice force fields on the ramp. He's just trying to take the tech down.
Now, this is really, really smart how he left the sentries there, but he does not control them, and he loses them now.
Yeah, there comes another force from the third, and that's the one that he can't stop.
Yeah, this was a very unfortunate situation for First. They tried to make the best of, but
you know, a lot of resources lost for hyvaa here. On the other hand, he didn't really take down the expansion, neither was he able to take down the main base of First. So First did the best in the scenario that he found himself in. I really like his decision here, and he just doesn't stop, he moves in again. The problem for him really is that we now have the additional Corruptors to the Roach Hydra composition that was already on the map earlier.
Yeah, and you know, this time there's not going to be any counterattacks. First, just makes 3 cannon series and then start another Colossus that'll help him out back at home. And he's going to move, but he does not have the ability to recall. He lost a lot of energy on that Mothership Core, of course.
And there's only one Colossus. We have so many Corruptors already in the air. One Colossus is not going to cut it. And there are 3 Immortals, but what can they do against this many Hydralisks now? And also, we have a lot of Zerglings for the Zerg player.
Yeah. And don't forget, those Immortals are in the red as far as hit points go. Yes, they do have their shields, but once the shields are gone, they're not going to last very long. Yeah, this is looking worse and worse all the time for first. Even got the Overseer using some Contaminate on that robotics.
You know, with the force field on the ramp at the natural, I really wonder if first could have maybe even gotten the lair before recalling out.
Yeah, I don't think he could have.
I don't really think it would have worked because the Roaches were really pressuring him in the main base and at the natural. But
that's a good thought. You know, it's definitely possible.
That's the only little bit of wiggle room that he really has here. hyvaa is currently dominating this game. The trap that he laid with the burrow timing earlier was just magnificent, and now we have a War Prison. That's, of course, one of the things that First can do here against hyvaa. But is it going to be enough?
We have a mega flank being set up right now for hyvaa. He has the Corruptors trying to get a good angle, but such patient and calculated play by First with his units there. Make sure that the Colossi are not too far on the edge. Zealots are going to kill some drones here, but the Nexus is not even started for First.
They are killing quite a lot of drones. I don't think that hyvaa realized what's going on here. This is a huge problem. He doesn't finally pulls the drones away. And this also stopped the aggression from hyvaa.
Yeah. He pulled every single unit back home.
He's pulling everything back right now.
So First is just trying to buy time right now to get that 3rd base up, which is already so late. We have Hydralisk Speed on the way. He's going to try to warp in some units here. I like that he continues this aggression.
War Prison is gone, but I have to admit that the War Prison definitely did enough damage. That paid off.
He's going to kill the Queen here. Maybe, barely not. Queen down to, looks like 1 hit point left. Yeah, 1 hit point.
Still a huge supply lead. 70 supply ahead. hyvaa, that is. And we also have a huge bank for him, so he won't stop with this aggression. Does First have enough tech units out by now? That's the main question.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting more Immortals right now, interestingly enough. He has 3 Colossi only, but I like the choice to go into Immortals since he knows his opponent is heavily committed to those Corruptors.
Now we have the Zerg player just trying to find a good opening here, already setting up a flank that is designed to take down the 3rd base. He's moving into the natural. The Corruptors with a good spot here against the Colossi and the Mothership.
Using a lot of Corrupts here. Good force fields on the Roaches, but there's so much Zerg. He's got a great surround.
He comes from every single angle. The time warps are crazy good and the force fields are also decent. But there's just so many Roaches and Hydralisks.
And the last Colossus falls. Hydras to the south doing way too much here. And once those force fields fade to the north, he's going to get crushed here.
First is, he doesn't stand a chance against this. This is an overwhelming force that is barreling down on him. The 3rd base is exposed, and hyvaa, he's going for it, trying to take down this Nexus.
This Gateway army looks so weak and puny. You know, it doesn't even have +2 just yet, or Blink, and the rest of the Roaches walking across the map are going to make quick work of this final little Gateway army. Will kill the base, and that's going to be the end of First. He's really trying to make a last stand here, even starts an assimilator. This isn't going to work, though. Using great Corrupts on the Immortal and on some of these Stalkers, and this is going to end the game.
Yeah. hyvaa is going to take this with a 2-1. The Stalkers try to blink back to safety, but the sentries are gone. No more force fields for First, and this is it for him.
Yep. Last of the Immortals falling down here. Very tough road for First. GG.
First takes game number 1 in the series, and then loses 2 in a row. hyvaa takes the game and advances now to the 3rd round of Korea. Well played here.
Game 3 was all about hyvaa's great scout denials. I feel like First felt pressure to go into this push because he didn't really know what was going on. He didn't know about the 3rd base until it was too late. He couldn't pressure that at all. He didn't know what sort of tech he was going to be up against.
Denying 2 probes was really important. The 2nd cannon, therefore, as a consequence for First, who was really trying to be very cautious about what he was trying to do here. And then we had this one trap with the burrow upgrade with the Roaches, which won him the game in the end.
And even before that, when the Mothership Core came in to see if there was a lair or what sort of lair tech, he saw it with an Overlord that he had to the south, and then immediately moved his Queens in position to block it. Just really, really important denials.
Lair also at the natural, not in the main base, so he really tried to hide as many information from First as humanly possible, and he did a great job here. The second game on Daybreak, he gambled a little bit, but he got, well, it paid off. On the other hand, in game number 1, the gamble didn't really work out because we had this great scout of first to the bottom right, so that he saw immediately that he was up against the 6th pool. But in the end, hyvaa, the better player today, with a great game 3. So he advances to the 3rd round of Code A now, where he is going to be up against Yoda.
Yeah, and that should be a pretty exciting match. Yoda really having a tough time yesterday, falling out 0-4.
And also Yoda, of course, has now the chance to avenge his teammate.
Yeah, he does. He does have that opportunity. And I think it's going to be a pretty good series. Remember, guys, anyone who wins the 3rd round of Code A goes straight into Code S. Anyone else who loses goes to the up and downs.
We are having a short 5-minute break before we head now to our next game, which is going to be Curious versus Trap, another Protoss versus Zerg. Trap, really good against Zerg these days. Had a lot of Zerg players that he faced in the Code A qualifier and also in the 1st round of Code A, where he defeated Sniper. We're going to find out in 5 minutes if he is able to defeat Curious as well. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in 5 here at the GSL Code A.